welcome to another Dead by Daylight video. Today we are going to do a deep dive into the Wraith, the second killer in Dead by Daylight, and its resident invisible man. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the Wraith is a very basic killer at heart. He doesn't do too much. He's not overly complicated, but he's decent. He's still a pretty good killer. So very basically, he is just like the Trapper. He has a 32 meter terror radius. He has 4.6 or 115% movement speed, and he's got a height of tall, which means you can see him over quite a lot of loops or pallets and windows, but he's not quite as tall as some of the other killers. However, when he is cloaked, which is his main ability, he starts the game cloaked. He moves at 6 meters a second, or 150% movement speed, and his terror and he gets undetectable, which means his terror radius goes from 32 meters to 0. He completely loses his terror radius, and a red stain in front of every killer protrudes out maybe about, I want to say, 3 meters, is also completely gone. So it makes him quite difficult to keep track of. A good Wraith can move around the map, and because he's quick and semi-invisible, he can move around the map very quickly in random directions that survivors might not expect. He could easily just appear behind a survivor or in the opposite direction a survivor would expect. Yeah, it's very, but again, he's still a very basic killer. That's just about all he has to him. Just his cloak, but he also slows down quite a lot. It feels like about 2 meters per second, so half the speed of a survivor. Might even be slower. When he's uncloaking, that takes about 3-ish seconds. It's about 3, maybe 4 seconds to actually fully uncloak, and then he can start attacking. While he's cloaked, he cannot attack, but he can still kick generators, open lockers, kick pallets, vault windows, break breakable walls, and that's it. But he cannot attack until he is uncloaked, which means he needs to surprise the survivors by getting behind them or a direction they do not expect, which he's pretty good at, and getting that first hit, because he isn't amazing in chase, because all he has is this cloak and there isn't too much you can do with it in chase, but you can do things with it. You aren't completely without a chase power. Okay, so something I missed, don't know how I missed it, it was very obvious. It's like one of the biggest points of his entire power. I don't even know why you watched this if I missed such a massive part. But when he cloaks and uncloaks, he rings a very loud bell. Yeah. So that's how people don't get surprised by him too much. He rings a very loud bell, which survivors can hear within 24 meters. And he also makes this weird, whisper kind of sound when he uncloaks and cloaks. And that's within a 40 meter radius. So I'm going to play that for you now, and you should hear, you should be able to hear the whisper, and you'll definitely be able to hear the bell. So, like I've already mentioned, you've got the one strategy of body blocking safety to nearly guarantee a hit, and while it is a good strategy, it does fall apart against survivors that can see it coming, or when there are a lot of safety. For example, if you're at like a shack, you've got the window, which people will often body block as the Wraith, but then you also have the shack pallet, and it can't be in two places at once, so that does sort of put the survivor in a good position where even if you do manage to block the window, they can just drop the pallet and be safe, because it's such a long way round either way. It sort of just becomes a pallet that you have to break as Wraith. There's also the strategy of sneaking up on people, which does rely on an add-on quite a bit, but it does work. And there's the strategy of hit and run, which is quite a common strategy that a lot of killers can use. A lot of different killers can use, mainly stealth killers like the Wraith, who can reduce or completely remove their terror radius for a limited amount of time or an infinite amount of time, like the Wraith can if they really wanted. What they can do is what hit and run is it's sort of like sneaking up on people, but you don't sneak up, get a hit, and then carry on with the chase. You will get a hit, leave them. You'll usually use perks like Sloppy Butcher to reduce healing speeds, and then that slows the game down because people don't like being injured against a killer that can come out of any direction at any point in the game and just get basically a free down on you. So they'll look for teammates, or they'll look for a medkit, or they'll use the medkit they came into the match with and use up 20-30 seconds of time, which not only slows the game down, but if they don't heal, then that's where it really comes in, because you can get a few survivors injured, and it might look like, now that you've got 2, 3, maybe all 4 survivors injured, it might look like you want to start a proper chase and not just going and hitting everyone, which can lead some survivors, especially like the first one you hit or maybe the second one, to think, okay, well, I'll be safe because there'll be someone else being chased there. And then you can go round to a position they might not expect. Let's say they're near the edge of the map. You can go round the edge of the map and then uncloak and get them. And it is a very viable strategy. It does work, especially with certain add-ons that might increase your movement speed or silence the bell, which you'll see soon, which makes it really good for the hit and run strategy. And the hit and run strategy with certain add-ons can also completely change, as instead of hitting a survivor, running away, hitting a survivor, running away, keep doing that until you down, and then you eventually win the game. With certain add-ons, or maybe if the survivor isn't paying the most attention, you can get a grab off of a generator or a chest or a totem even, which completely ignores the health state that they're currently in. It instantly picks up the survivor off of the action they were doing So if they were doing a generator, they just go straight onto your shoulder and you can put them onto hook, no matter if they were healthy or if they were injured. Which, at the start of the game, if you can get a grab, it's like having a chase that only lasts 10 seconds. It is so good to have that happen, because the killer's early game is the weakest point. So if you can get a really, really quick chase in the form of just grabbing a survivor off of a generator, which isn't even a chase, like that's how quick that is. It's just always over before it even starts. You get them on a hook, then that's a survivor on a hook right at the start of the game. Everyone else wants to be doing generators because it is the beginning of the game. They want to be getting the generators done to keep the pressure onto the killer, and then you can go off. Maybe you can use a different perk to find survivors, or if you've got a bit of game sense, you might know where the survivors are, or think you know where the survivors are, and then that's a survivor on the hook and a survivor in chase at the start of the game. You might even get 2 grabs if you're lucky. Like, you can do some crazy things with Wraith, even though he's quite a simple killer. Those are pretty common strategies, but also all extremely successful in their own right for Wraith. And I don't think there's any I missed out. No, I don't think so. Okay. Those are the strategies for Wraith. Okay, so back into Dead by Daylight now. We're going to be going over some common add-ons, and also some common add-ons, some perk builds, and maps that are good for Wraith. So for the first perk build, we're going to be using generic perks that you can unlock on the first perks that you can unlock on 3 killers, which is Bitter Murmur, where whenever a generator gets completed, survivors within 16 meters of it have their aura shown to you for 5 seconds, and when the last generator gets completed, all survivor auras throughout the map are shown to you for 7 seconds. And then you have Spies from the Shadows, where whenever a survivor is within 36 meters of you and they disrupt a crow, like a bubble will pop up, sort of like whenever a generator whenever someone misses a skill check on a generator, or it's slightly different, and then it goes on cooldown for 5 seconds. So overall, it's pretty decent tracking perk. And then Sloppy Butcher, where whenever you hit a survivor, they get hemorrhage and mangled for 90 seconds, and it increases the rate at the healing progression is lost from hemorrhage by 25%. So what hemorrhage does, it makes it so if a survivor's healed a little bit, let's say like 50, 60, 70%, they will lose progress on that heal if they stop healing, and they leave more blood more frequently when they're injured, like on the floor. And Mangled makes it so you just take 25% longer to heal, which takes it from 16 seconds up to 20, which adds up. And then you have Enduring, which makes it so when you get pallet stunned, it's at tier 3, this is a hillbilly perk, and when you get stunned by pallets, at tier 3 it's 50% of the duration just gets completely removed, so you only get stunned for half the time. Overall, it's just a quite nice, good feel good perk. And then you have Bone Clapper, which makes it so the bell that rings out when you cloak and uncloak has no distance or direction. They cannot tell how close or how far you are. You could be right behind them, or you could be on the complete opposite side of the map to them, and they will still hear the bell, the exact same. And no matter if you're on the right or the left of them, they will not hear the bell in that direction. They will just hear it globally. And then you have Swift Hunt, which increases the uncloak speed by 12%. There are a few of these add-ons. You've got the 12% one, you've got the 10% one, and then you have the 8% one. Overall, good set of add-ons. Just increases the uncloak speed, which is good, and it feels nice. And then for this the more slow down, protection oriented kind of build, you have Corrupt Intervention, where at the beginning of the game the 3 generators furthest from you are blocked for 2 minutes at the start of the game at tier 3. And then you have Pop Goes the Weasel, where at tier 3 the next after you hook a survivor, the next generator that you kick loses 25% of its current progress. So if it's at 50%, it'll lose to 12.5%. Overall, it's a pretty good perk, and it lasts for 40 seconds after the hook. So you have to get to the generator quickly. And then you have Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, where 4 random hooks become Scourge Hooks that activate these kind of perks. And you start the trial with 4 tokens for each survivor, and whenever you hook a survivor for the first time on a Scourge Hook, you lose a token, and then the generator with the most progress explodes and loses 20% progress, and then begins to regress. So this is a really good perk because you don't have to go out of your way to use it. It is just good. It's a good slowdown. That's 80% of a generator in total. It's still massive. Overall, with Pop Goes the Weasel and Corrupt Intervention, you will have a lot of wasted generator time with these 3 perks. And then you have Bamboozle, where this means that your vault speed is 15% quicker at tier 3, and whenever you vault a window, that makes the window blocked for survivors for 16 seconds, so they cannot vault it. But you can only have 1 vault location blocked by Bamboozle, so you cannot vault a window, have it blocked, and then vault a different window and have it block again. Overall, really good perk, feels really nice. Then you have the 2 iridescent add-ons here. You've got the Coxcomb Clapper, which makes it so the bell letting you ring when you cloak and uncloak is completely silent. It makes no noise, there is no direction to it, there is no distance to it. It's basically just a complete offload of the Bone Clapper. And then you have the All-Seeing Spirit add-on, which makes it so when you are cloaked, the generator auras show the progress on the generator, which starts from 0% at like a white, milky kind of colour of the aura, and then when it gets to higher percentages, like 90, it becomes red like they are when you're uncloaked, which is a really good add-on, really good. The fact that you just cloak and you can, if you're paying attention, at the very beginning of the game, you can find survivors that are on the generator, because that generator will not be a white milky colour, but it will be a more red, sort of pinky white colour. And then you have this more chase build. You've got Deadlock, where whenever a generator is completed, the generator with the most progress blocks for 25 seconds at tier 3, and you see that generator is already in white. You have Hex Blood Favor, where when you hit a survivor, every single pallet lays up, stood up, not dropped, within 32 meters, so your terror radius basically is blocked for 15 seconds. Yeah. And it's a hex totem, so they can break this perk, so to accompany that and make sure they don't break it too quick, we have Hex Undying, which makes it so survivors within 4 meters of a dull totem have their aura revealed. Whenever a hex totem gets cleansed, Hex Undying takes its place, so if they cleanse Blood Favor stays up, and they cleanse Undying instead, which is really good for any other hex perks. If you wanted not a chase build, you could use any other hex perk. I'd recommend Ruin at tier 3, or Devour Hope. Third Seal's pretty good on Wraith, because it adds to the confusion. Retribution's good, Hex Retribution. All these perks you don't really need to know what they do right now, because they all, Blood Favor is probably one of the stronger hex perks, but it's a hex, and there's always chance. You could even swap out Undying if for a different hex perk you would swap out Undying for Hex Pentimenta, which all that. 30% repair speed is the main one hex totem, so they can cleanse that and use this perk, rekindle it. Overall, it's a really good perk. And then you have, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to call it Coup, which is most of what the community calls it. Whenever a generator gets completed, you gain 2 tokens with a maximum 5. So you can have two generators completed, which takes you up to 4, and then if that third generator gets completed, you don't go to 6, but you go to 5. You can use 1 token to increase the size of your next lunge attack by 80%. That is really good on a lot of loops. You will get a lot of hits because survivors will think, yeah, I can make it one more lap round of this rock or this wall or this pallet, and they just can't, because you can lunge for so long with this perk. Overall, really good in chase. And then you have All Seeing, which makes it so any survivors within 8 meters of you while you're cloaked have their auras revealed. It's good because it eliminates possible people stealthing near the edges of the map or near generators, and it can also counter perks like Distortion pretty well, because that removes you being able to use aura reading for the most part, but they also get this ability by staying in your terror radius, which Wraith doesn't have when cloaked. And then you have the Ghost, which when you uncloak, both the terror radius and the red stain stay suppressed for 6 seconds, so you keep undetectable, which makes it so your terror radius is at 0 meters and your red stain is completely invisible for 6 seconds afterwards. That pairs really well with the Bone Clapper or the Coxcomb Clapper, which makes the bell completely silent or non-directional and no distance tell. You also have the maps of Azerov's Auto Haven Wreckers offerings are pretty good for Wraith because they're open, but beyond 24 meters the survivors can't see you moving around because you're not fully invisible as Wraith, you're sort of just like a shimmer. You have Macmillan because it's mostly the same thing as Auto Haven. quite open map. You can see survivors, they can't see you. And then you have Midwich, which is just, it's like the best killer map in the game. It's really small, really tight, and it's got long hallways, which means, again, you can see them, they can't see you. So, yeah, that is the Wraith. That is some common strategies, common add-ons, common perk builds, common perks that are put on him, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it informative. We're going to be doing what else killers, Hillbilly next. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day.